Hi, I'm Katie Fehrenbacher, and I'm with the Green Overdrive show. And we're here at a garage with a man who needs no introduction, Jay Leno.
Oh, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Apparently I got one anyway.
So, this is your car. What is it?
This is, well, what we try to do here is try to live the way we always will, just do it more efficiently. I think most people would live greener if you could show them how to still do what they always do, but do it more efficiently and in a better way. That seems, you know, I have friends that live in Vermont and they got the 40-watt bulb and they pedal a bike to run the TV for 20 minutes, and that's great, but most people won't do that. So what we try to do here is, like, we're all solar panels on the roof, so during the day we're off the grid, and that's 54 kilowatts. That's a lot of energy. We use waterless hand cleaners. We don't use aerosol cans. I'll explain all that to you later, but this is a very early version of a hybrid car. This is called the Owens Magnetic. It's 1960. And what it is it's an electric car that carries its own power plant. You know, electric cars have the problem they always have. It was range. And they could only go so many miles and then they would stop. And the idea behind this car is, it's called an Owens Magnetic because you have a traditional 6-cylinder motor, and the motor is not connected to the drivetrain of the car as it would be in a typical automobile. What the motor does is power a 24-volt Westinghouse electric generator, which runs the electric motors that powers the rear wheel. So when you start the engine, the flywheel turns, creates a magnetic field. That makes electricity, which drives the car. The advantage being there's no clutch, there's no shifting, you know. These people are really clever. You know, we do things with computers, just take for granted. This is basically a computer. It's a whole system of relays. And it says right in here, do not attempt to fix this yourself. Take it back to the factory. Well, the factory closed in 1917. So not a lot of those guys around. Well, here's kind of a green car here, a green for its day anyway. This is the Doble steam car. It runs on steam, much like a steam locomotive. The interesting thing about it was, even though it was built in 1925, it meets not quite current emission standards, but pretty close. Because what it does is it burns all the fuel 100%. You know, most modern cars don't burn all the fuel, and that's consequently where your pollution comes from. But this puts out 2 million BTUs of heat. And the coil heats the water makes steam, which drives the engine. It's incredibly complex. Come on, I'll show you the very first, the great-great-grandfather of Tesla. Come on, take a look.
That's the Baker.
That's the Baker. There were hundreds, if not thousands, of electric cars in the streets of New York at the turn of the century. This is a very well thought out car. Leather was the carbon fiber of the day. The leather fender is very lightweight. Most cars in 1909 had gas lamps. This was fully electric. The trouble with the electric car was kind of a sexist problem. Women loved electric cars because, don't forget, in the old days you had to crank a car, they were greasy, you had to pull the choke, set the magneto. So consequently, the women that did drive either weren't physically able to start the car or just didn't like the car. Electric cars were quite popular, but when women bought them, well, consequently, then they couldn't sell them to men because, you know, no guy's going to buy a woman's car. You know, I mean, that same sort of nonsense that continues to this day. Yeah. So a lot of the women's cars are made up like this one. Flower vases, you have a makeup kit right there, has face powder and all this kind of stuff in it. And this was perfect for going around New York City. And there were hundreds and hundreds of taxi cabs. There were charging stations all over New York. Here's one of the original charging stations right there. But taxis would use these. This will go almost 100 miles on a charge, about 80 miles. And they would drive for 4 or 5 hours, take people around the city, you know, put it back in, charge it, take another one out. You want to go for a ride?
Yeah. So 100 miles, that's like basically what the cars are doing, the new ones are doing.
Yeah, batteries have not come as far as they should, really. But and you just saw it go.
Yeah, it's like a feel like I'm in San Francisco on
Oh yeah, that's what
trolley cars.
But see, it goes along pretty good. Don't forget, this is 1909.
And that's the steering wheel.
So what you do is you go through quadrants. You go click one, and do the second one.
How fast can it go?
About 23, 24 miles an hour. But don't forget, the roads weren't paved.
It's a cruising car.
So unless, you're a woman of independent means or married to a rich guy, guys would laugh at that. You pulled up in that, They laugh at me now when I pull up in that. So
you own some of these older electric vehicles, or a couple.
Yeah.
And but I think you're less optimistic about the future of electric vehicles being mainstream, right?
No, I'm not. Electric is actually the perfect way to power an automobile. The trouble is range. Electricity is like an animal. You put it in a box, either it dies or it escapes. You put a battery on a shelf that's full and come back in 2 months, and it's half full. Where'd the electricity go? You put gasoline in a jar and you seal it. You put a gallon of gasoline, you come back in a month, you still have a gallon of gasoline. Ferdinand Porsche's first car was electric. So electric has always been there. It's just that the gasoline car was more exciting and made noise and was faster. But no, I think there's a definite future for electric cars. And I think the hybrid system is
You think that's going to be more viable for mainstream?
Yeah, because the trouble with electric cars is they do kind of take you halfway wherever you want to go.
Are you going to buy any of the new EVs coming out?
Maybe. I had an EV1 for a while. I liked that a lot. I thought it was fantastic. I like the Chevy Volt. I like the idea that you go down the road with electricity. I got to go a little further. Okay, I'll put some gas in. So
yeah,
the
Volt is like 40 miles or something, but then kicks in for
Right.
several hundred after that.
And then it becomes basically a gas car. But for the running around you do all week, you would use no gasoline. And then when you make a run to San Diego or San Francisco on the weekend, okay, then you spend 10 or 15 bucks on gas. And that seems like a nice way to wean people off it, because you're not just going to stop gasoline cars. You've got 150 years of production there.
I agree.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Take care.